Muted.
All right, welcome everybody to the FY17 2022 Proposed Highway Improvement Program webinar. Thank you for joining us. We'll do a brief presentation and then do question and answers afterwards. Give you the full agenda for today's presentation. I want to start by saying there's a handout that you should be able to find on the webinar tab. That handout's going to have the hyperlink to the actual MYP as it's written in PDF form. Also, there's a hyperlink to the interactive map of the MYP, which should show all the out years, obviously visually represented, and you can hover over those projects, click on it, it should tell you the dollar amount, and I believe the years when it will be completed, or should be completed. Also, another hyperlink to the needs assessment that shows current pavement conditions that help to sort of establish the program. You can find those at the hyperlink. Finally, on that handout is the online comment form, which you should be able to fill out, or you could have open right now to fill out a comment should you like to do that. We're going to talk about IDOT a little bit, give you a brief overview, and then we're going to give an overview of the FY17 to 22 MYP as we see it. Development of the program as well, projects within the MYP, roughly the major projects in each of the districts. Going to go over performance measures and how they fit into the whole scheme of things. And then finally, we want to hear from you. Which projects are a priority in your community? Also, any performance measures that you might think should be included in next year's program. Comments will be due until Wednesday, November 30th of this year. You're welcome to fill out the comment form online as you find it through the handout, or you can ask any questions during the question and answer portion of today's webinar. We have all the program engineers, one from each district, so no matter where you are in the state, we should be able to answer your question. So let's get started. IDOT, we have a mission statement there. IDOT, the Illinois Department of Transportation, is here to provide a safe, cost-effective transportation system for Illinois in ways that enhance quality of life, promote economic prosperity, and demonstrate, of course, respect for the environment. Illinois is a pretty big state. We've got a lot of things going on. We're actually the nation's third largest interstate system. As you can see there, about 16,000 miles of state-maintained roads, 2,200 miles of interstate highway, and almost 8,000 state-maintained bridges. It's quite a bit. That's actually the third largest also in the United States, I do believe. That equals out to be 146,900 center lane miles. And even though IDOT only represents about 11% of the total state and local roads, we have jurisdiction over them that carries 55% of the state's overall miles traveled. Population is about 12.9 million. We have about 11.6 registered vehicles, which is quite a few. This is a great slide. It takes time. You can find this brochure online also at your local district headquarters. This gives a nice overview of the 6-year process, if everything goes smoothly, that it takes to build projects within IDOT. Goes through all the different steps, gives you an idea of why that road's been tore up for a while outside. It's not just slapping concrete out there anymore. We have quite a process to make sure that that asset will last a long time. So I know it's kind of hard to read here, and we'll go through it fast, but you can either screenshot this or contact your local headquarters, and they should be able to get you a copy of that should you desire. Now we're going to get into the development of the MYP. MYP is refined annually to make sure that we're keeping up with the best projects and doing what needs to be done for the different roads and bridges in the program. It's a 6-year cycle, so kind of go to a lot of the out years to make sure that we're planning for the future, not just trying to maintain what we've got. Process involves identifying pavement and structure conditions across the state. We also got to make sure that our revenue estimates from the state and federal sources are accurate, and we allocate those funds to the districts. Districts update the cost estimates for the projects. They also develop, prioritize, and submit candidate projects to central office to be included in the MYP. Then we fiscally constrain the MYP, present it to the General Assembly, industry, public, and other stakeholders, which is what brings us here today. So why do we develop the MYP? Well, it's a good question. It's definitely a way for us to plan and program for the long-term investment. These assets are going to be around for a while, and there's a lot that are out there that have been around for a while, and making sure that we're making the best investment for our dollar is really the key of this whole operation. It's also mandated by Illinois law. That's probably a pretty good reason to do it. Current program goals are being refined and developed kind of in tandem with the 2017 Long-Range Transportation Plan. We're looking to update our long-range plan, which is also mandated by federal law, to make sure that we're looking even further into the future, and we hope to work with the programming folks to make those sort of in lockstep. We're going to preserve and maintain the existing system, modernize our highway system the best we can, and strategically expand new capital projects to mitigate congestion where those counts are the highest. We also developed a program to explain how projects are prioritized and to be transparent to the general public. 2017-22 multi-year plan is pretty robust. It's over $11 billion in funding for projects, more than $2.02 billion just here in FY17 alone. The program has going to maintain highway miles of about 2,523. That should be pretty good, along with 501 bridges will be either replaced or rehabbed. It's a pretty extraordinary number when you think about it. $431 million of the program is going to go to local benefits. That's going to help improve local roads and support economic development. We have a strong emphasis on safety at IDOT. We'll be improving railroad crossings along with other ADA improvements, things of that nature. Targeted safety improvements along identified fatal and severe crash locations is also an important part of the plan, and we want to definitely enhance public right-of-way accessibility. This here's your pretty standard bar chart. Definitely have how much money the program is. We talked about how it's close to about $11 billion. So to the state highways, $7.68 billion, and local roads getting a very robust $3.493 billion. So what's new this year? Well, we're refining the program model, always trying to use the dollars the best we can and prioritize the best we can. We're always refining that process to be as cutting edge as we possibly can. We're using performance measures to help prioritize expansion projects. Definitely want to have a data to back up why we'd be adding capacity to a facility and things of that nature. And also we're bringing the development of an asset management plan along. That's going to definitely help to prioritize projects. There'll be a GIS component, I'm sure, to see a holistic look at all the assets. Not that we're not doing that already, of course, but it just will help make that a little bit easier for the folks at program, as it's a daunting task to program for this large of a state. We saw earlier, third largest network in the nation. Safer roads. So in 2015, there was about just under 1,000 roadway fatalities. I should probably emphasize 998. I'm sure saying 1,000 is going to get me in trouble, but it was 998 road fatalities, way too many, of course. 46% on state routes, 54% occurred on local roads. More than half of these vehicles were driven off the road. Nearly a quarter of the fatalities were at intersections. Weekend fatalities accounted for half of all severe crashes. 15% were pedestrian, and older drivers and younger drivers overwhelmingly are the traffic fatalities that we see in our records. To address this, IDOT is working to better integrate safety data into early design phases. Multi-year plan is really broken up into three major categories, although there's a lot of subsections to this. But system maintenance, bridge maintenance, congestion mitigation, and then where it's deemed necessary, system expansion really make up the four corners of the MYP priorities. Really loving the bar charts today. This one here shows a split of all of the money in those four major categories. It definitely illustrates the breakdown of the $7.68 billion. It's supposed to be 11. I don't know where I'm getting my numbers here. Oh no, that okay. This is the yeah.
Breakdown of the program.
Okay, breakdown of the program into the four major categories. Sorry guys, had a hiccup with my notes. All right, where does the funding come from? Motor fuel tax. Outlook for the state funding, especially motor fuel tax revenue, but also we have motor vehicle registration fees. has also improved relative to last year. These trends, however, may be a blip on the radar screen when you include how low gas prices have been, the mild winter, and low unemployment. While not returning to the trend that we've seen placed prior to FY 2008, the outlook for motor fuel consumption is now more positive than a year ago. It remains to be seen that the future trend in motor fuel tax and registration fees will be. Higher CAFE standards or gas mileage standards for motor vehicles will continue to reduce motor fuel tax revenue over time. For the state, we have motor fuel tax that goes into that, along with vehicle registration. I think I messed up my slides again. Lower fuel prices, milder winter again. Let's go back one more. There we go. Federal funds come from the Fixing America's Surface Transportation provider that provides us with a 5-year predictable revenue, new freight program performance measures, and refocuses the performance funding for the national highway system. All right, here's what I was trying to get to. This is a really sweet chart here that shows the motor fuel tax versus milk, the price of milk over the course of several years here, 30 years. The federal gas tax has been unchanged since 1993 at 18.4 cents a gallon. State is at 19 cents a gallon, and diesel is slightly higher in both categories. But the fact is that it's remained somewhat unchanged over this 30-year period, where, as you can see, the price of gas and milk has fluctuated greatly. Project prioritization. Here we go. Okay, development of the program, as we said, has got basically 4 major categories: the bridge maintenance, system maintenance, congestion mitigation, and the system expansion. To further go into detail about this, what types of projects that are included in the MYP, we got road surface, resurfacing, rehabilitation, bridge maintenance, rehabilitation or replacement, operational improvements, safety improvements including ADA compliance, highway capacity, congestion mitigation, bike and pedestrian, access improvement, and economic development, just to name a few. Performance measures today, it's a tiered approach to evaluating projects based on ADT, or average daily traffic. That's a very important factor when looking at how we're doing with our performance measures. Past program goals, acceptable was, we were looking for 90% of state roads to be acceptable, 93% of bridges. That was the past goals. Presently, an acceptable condition is only 79% of our state roads, but 92% of our bridges. Without additional funding through FY22, it looks as though 61% of state roads will be in acceptable condition, and 86% of the bridges, which I think anybody who lives in Illinois should definitely give them great pause. Bridges and pavement prioritization. For the long term, the department is developing an asset management plan. This includes collecting data to develop a plan that maximizes investment for pavement and bridges, uses data to make strategic investments to expand the life of pavement and bridges. This will deviate from the worst first methodology currently used, and will identify mid-life improvements that will result in a long lifespan for our facilities. The goal is to make our financial resources and infrastructure last longer, most definitely. Bridge improvements. So we got basically 2 major categories for bridge improvements. Structurally deficient, which does not mean that the bridge is unsafe, just means that part of the bridge do not meet the current design criteria. Functionally obsolete means basically that the bridge parts don't meet current criteria. That's the part that doesn't meet current criteria. Structurally deficient means the components of the bridge must be modernized, inspected, and repaired. I got those 2 confused. So functionally obsolete is that it doesn't meet design criteria. Structurally deficient means that we need to monitor it, and probably higher up on the list for improvements or rebuild. Operational improvements. Locations known to be traffic issues obviously are our top priority. We use departmental data and definitely look at our local sponsors at the MPO level, county and city, to identify those. We look at prioritizing damage and crash history. Congestion mitigation for air quality improvements. We're going to try and reduce volatile organic compounds. Through this, the CMAQ funds allow us to expand where needed as far as transit is concerned, pedestrian, bike, and also try and relieve congestion on the roadways. We're going to improve mobility through traffic signal improvements, add turn lanes where possible, synchronize traffic signals to improve traffic flow through a given corridor, and then the integration of intelligent transportation systems, otherwise known as ITS, also to help traffic move at a brisker pace. Another form of operational improvements can include interchange rehabilitation and reconstruction. Changes in travel pattern definitely make it important for us to evaluate where our intersection improvements need to take place. Access needed for emergency vehicles, regional development, and economic development is also a factor. For capacity improvements, this would be your add lanes or projects similar to that. Main forces are the annual average daily traffic volume, also traffic, high priority for those. You can see there's other factors that are in play, number of existing lanes, regional system needs, all the way down to local and community input and support. So now we're going to go over an overview of the district programs, one for each of the districts. All right, so I-55. I-55 currently handles about 170,000 vehicles a day and growing. 250,000 anticipated by 2040. The route is congested up to 10 hours a day on average and carries about 15% of all freight going in and out of Chicago. In response, IDOT announced the issue of a request for information in September to assist in the development of a plan leveraged by private investment through a private-public partnership, otherwise known as a P3, to build managed lanes on I-55 from the I-355 intersection to the I-90-94 intersection. The project will add a tolled express lane to the existing highway median. While managed lanes have been successful in other states as P3s, I-55 project will be the first in Illinois. This project is estimated to cost $425 million in construction. The Jane Byrne interchange, otherwise known as the Circle Interchange, was originally built in the late 50s and early 60s. This interchange connected 90, 94, and 290. Consistently ranked one of the nation's worst bottlenecks, over 400,000 vehicles travel the interchange every day, including 33,000 trucks. The $600 million interchange reconstruction is anticipated to be completed by 2020, providing improvements for safety, traffic flow, and traffic travel times. So major improvements in District 1, as we said, these are not all the improvements that are going to happen in District 1. I would refer you back to the MYP or the MYP interactive map to get a good look at all the projects. We're just sort of highlighting the top-end view. So District 2, the Illinois Department of Transportation and Iowa DOT are working closely to replace the I-74 bridge over the Mississippi and the Quad Cities. IDOT has committed $220 million in FY17 to 22 to construct and lighting on the center section of the new bridge. 27.5 is programmed for FY17 alone. On the Illinois side, 5 miles of additional lanes, a new bridge, bridge replacements, reconstruction, retaining walls, construction engineering, building demolishment, utility adjustments for connecting the Mississippi River to the existing Interstate 74 alignment are programmed during the 17 to 22 program, the cost of $258.4 million. An additional $800,000 is programmed for FY17 to rehabilitate the existing bridge to keep it operational until the new bridge is completed. District 3, Illinois 178 over the Illinois River at Utica, a new bridge and construction engineering are programmed for FY17 at a cost of $32.5 million. The current bridge was built in about 1962. US 34 from East Eldamain Road to Center Parkway in Yorkville is getting a major makeover, reconstruction and construction of additional lanes up to 2.1 miles, a bridge replacement, culvert replacement, utility adjustment, and construction engineering are programmed in the FY17 program at a cost of $23.7 million. District 4, US 150 War Memorial Drive, eastbound over the Illinois River. This project north of downtown Peoria will include bridge replacement, land act, utility adjustments, construction engineering. Railroad flagger are programmed during the FY17-22 time period at a tune of $188.1 million. A lot of bridges. District 5. One of the major downstate interchanges on the IDOT system, I-57 and 74 in Champaign County. This interchange is slated for reconstruction and will include new bridges, utility adjustment, believe it or not, land acquisition, and construction engineering. All these activities programmed during the 2018-22 time period at a cost of $74.3 million. This should provide a more effective freight movement through the state. 5.5 of this money is being programmed in 2017 alone. US 55 and Illinois 9, just off Interstate 74 at Royal Point Drive, will receive resurfacing 12.1 miles and ADA improvements programmed during the 18-22 time period. Again, cost is about $7.9 million. So we've got two projects there, as you can see. District 6, US 54 at Mississippi River Bridge in Louisiana, Missouri, and Pike County will be replaced, including engineering for contract plans, land acquisition, utility adjustment, and reimbursement to Missouri for ownership consultant activities at the, to facilitate construction requirements are programmed during the 17-22 time period at a cost of $27.8 million. 2.8 of this programmed in FY17, and it's worth noting that Illinois and Missouri received $10 million in federal Tiger Grant money for this project. Finally, in District 6, the I-55, I-72 additional lanes are being added, reconstruction at the interchange and interchange around Springfield. This engineering for the construction plans for the reconstruction, mainline pavement, interchange reconstruction, and add lanes in each direction on I-55 from south of 6th Street interchange to all the way up to Sherman interchange. On I-72 from Illinois 4 to the interchange of 55 south of Springfield, and on I-72 from I-55 east of Springfield to Old US 36 are programmed from the FY 2018 to 2022 at an estimated cost of $25 million even. There's no point on that one. Like 0.3, even number. All right, District 7, here we go. I-70 from the abandoned railroad bridge at Altmount to Little Wabash River west of Effingham. This improvement will include rumbleization overlay of 7.1 miles, a new bridge deck, bridge repair, ramp repair and replacement, and culvert rehabilitation. Actually, it's just a ramp repair. I said replacement. I misspoke. Culvert rehabilitation repair are programmed during the 18-22 time period, tune of $30.9 million. District 8, the MLK Bridge ramps are getting a makeover. MLK Bridge ramps over Interstate 55 and 64 westbound, Missouri Avenue relocating Illinois 3, Terminal Railroad Association and Union Pacific Railroads in East St. Louis, 0.7 miles east of the Mississippi River. This is programmed in 17-22 at a cost of $34.7 million, and 2.5 of this will be spent in 17. Last and surely not least, District 9. Going to do some work on the I-57 northbound for about a half mile north of Illinois 146 to I-24 in Union and Johnson County. Reconstruction on 12.7 miles of northbound lanes is programmed during the FY 18-22 program period at a cost of $19.2 million. See a nice little map there. And yeah. Okay, performance measures. Ensuring that we're doing the best with your investment with limited resources wisely. Sure I butchered that, but anyway, all right. Future performance measures. We need to prioritize maintenance on the facilities that are on the national highway system due to federal guidance. We need to also make data-driven decisions to prioritize our investments, ensure that heavily used facilities remain in a state of good repair. These are all important parts of why performance measures are being implemented by IDOT. What we've heard that the current state of our infrastructure is really unacceptable. It's safety is growing area of concern. Travel times are unreliable. It's a daily struggle to move people and goods efficiently in such a large state with such a large network. We definitely have to get input from locals and getting the data from them and combining that data is important. Infrastructure concerns are multimodal in nature. As the baby boomers are getting older and millennials are using more alternative forms of transportation, it's key that we provide those for those folks. That includes bike pedestrian facilities, waterway improvements, ports, roads, bridges, mostly transit, paratransit, and passenger rail will be a focus. Greater investment is needed. Many voices support increase in revenue, including raising the state's motor fuel tax and indexing future increases to inflation. I highly agree with that. We really should not be just maintaining. We should be able to make this a world-class system throughout the state. We have the ability with the manpower. We just need the finances to do it. IDOT has room to improve in project delivery and collaboration with its partners. We spoke on that earlier. Frustration has been expressed over the agency's lack of transparency and accountability in project selection, as well as how long it takes to deliver the projects. We saw the "it takes time" slide. It does take time, but we can definitely improve on that. There are opportunities for agencies to better work with governments, private sector partners. So we are responding. We restructured internally to be more responsive based on what we do, project development and project implementation. We sort of split those two out to make them run a little bit more efficiently. Focusing on maintaining the existing assets, we saw because of the funds that we have allocated to us, that right now is kind of the mode we're in. We're exploring ways IDOT, though, can add value to project selection, project implementation. The value added is definitely somewhere we're taking great focus. We see that as the future. Performance measures present, an opportunity we identify and compare the benefits of different projects. We're trying to improve transparency and accountability, funding projects that improve provide the best return on investment. That's key. We need to spend the little money that we have as efficiently as possible, invest our limited resources wisely, of course. Kind of continuing on that same theme for expansion projects, we need to measure, we need measures that will help us meet our long-term goals. How can transportation investments be leveraged to meet local and state goals? Proposed goals that have come out of several rounds of stakeholder and communication with people in industry and the public are accessibility, economic competitiveness, livability, safety, and system performance. The LRTP program goals are shaping this process. More on the expansion projects. Presently, we are evaluating measures, asking for feedback on those goals, and presenting the initial outcomes to local stakeholders. The result will be monitored and adjusted based on what we see on the input from the stakeholders and the public. Lastly, here we've got a little timeline as to how these performance measures are being evaluated, massaged, and sort of refined. We see the fall of 16, we're sort of finalizing the goals, identifying measures, developing the tool, but it really will take form in the early spring. We try and roll these out, but most importantly, monitor and refine the tool as we, first time we're going to be really putting hard and fast numbers of this. We got to refine as we go and always make it competitive and realistic. Other resources, we probably should have put these in a handout in hindsight, but every year we do a past year performance, sort of a program accomplishments that's downloadable from the, for the record. You can find the hyperlink there. Can they click on that in the PowerPoint? Should be able to click on that. If not, get a pen and write that down real fast. That shouldn't take any time at all to write that down. For the record, is the name of that document. We do it every year. It's a really great document to see what we've done. FY17 to 22 proposed highway improvement program. That should be on your handout, so you should be able to find that. Also the feedback. That's just a smaller hyperlink to get you to the online form, which you have in your handout. We'd like to thank you for attending the webinar. Please stand by, though. We're going to do a comment period. We're going to take comments from you, anything that you have concerning the MYP projects, who you think is going to win the World Series, anything of that nature. We're willing to field those questions here in just a few minutes. Wanted to also emphasize that the MYP is out for public view, and we would really appreciate your comments that help shape the program moving forward. So with that said, I'm going to try my very best to navigate the questions here. We've got tech people to throw things at me should I mess this up. But we're going to open this up. I think that's how we're going to do this. Go to questions. I'm going to plus sign. Favorite? There we go. Okay, you should be able to see some question box that's shown up on your screen. If not, you're probably like me. You're probably not doing it right. It should be on their. What's that? They should be able to see it. Okay. So we're going to ask you very kindly to put any questions that you might have, project-specific, programming, why we paint the bridges a certain color. I'm not sure if they can answer that, but they probably will. They probably can answer that. I'm sure they can answer that. We've got engineers on the phone, guys. They can answer stuff like that. So don't be shy. We don't have any questions right now, so I'd be disappointed if we didn't answer any questions. I may just throw questions out to the engineers, guys. Uh-oh. Oh, I put it back here. No, I got it. We just don't got any questions. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Scott's got a question. We had a project on the list for several years, and it is no longer there. What has likely happened? Well, Scott, could you elaborate maybe on what project that was? Well, yeah, and where you're from. I guess knowing where the project's at would probably be key. So yeah, I think that's a good question, Scott. Just maybe if you wouldn't mind letting us know what exactly. Oh, you're not getting seasick. I got to turn the audio on for our boys in the field. It's the Illinois 40 and Miller Road in Sterling, Illinois. Add turn lanes and signals. So let me get the staff unmuted here so we can ask that. Sterling, that's District 2, so we're going to unmute Chris first and see if it might, or is it 3? We got Scott's like District 2. All right, so we got Chris Tovin, program engineer, and she should be able to hopefully answer that question. Again, Chris, it's interested why the project has been maybe taken off the MYP, Illinois 40 and Miller Road in Sterling, Illinois, add turn lanes and signals.
Originally, the project was programmed for Miller Road for turn lanes and signals, but as the design was developed, it became a much larger project and now includes reconstruction of the north side of Sterling, and that was a much more expensive project, and that expanded the scope so much that the department had to take a step back, and that project's still of interest to us, but right now we couldn't afford that, and so it's on our list of things if additional money becomes available that we can put back into the program real quick, but the bottom line is the scope expanded too much for us at that time.
And that probably goes into the different phases. We saw that It Takes Time brochure, you know, with some phase 1 engineering that goes into it, and if the project for safety or whatever reason requires a larger project scope, then that can definitely balloon up quick. Thank you. Okay, here we go. We got one from Kama. Kama writes, can you explain the legend on the needs assessment map? There does not seem to be any information when you click on the segment. Thank you. Well, I don't have it pulled up in front of me, Kama, but I know there's a legend what exactly the meaning of all those lines, and there's the squiggly lines too and stuff like that. I'm not a programmer per se, so I'll have to maybe get back to you on that. We can definitely email you. I believe it says there should be the little drop down, and that's a relatively new feature to the Get Around Illinois, which is where you can find that. So if you don't have the hyperlinks to Get Around Illinois, it's under the Planning and Programming tab, and it should be the last thing you can click on the needs. It'll say Needs Assessment. I would definitely look back at that again, and if you still have, well, you're still probably going to have questions. I will write back to you personally, Kama, and get you a response to that. But that was, we talked to the information processing folks, and they literally put that up for public view this week sometime. So we may have to work those kinks out. Here we go. Another question: what improvements in technology are you using to improve our efficiency? I'm going to open this up to anybody, really, but I can tell you that ITS, the integration of technology through the message boards, accident reporting, things of that nature are highly effective in making, kind of crash-related congestion move more smoothly. But there's a lot of pavement and other technology that's really outside of my scope. I don't know. I've got all the program engineers unmuted. If anybody would talk briefly about how you see technology maybe improving efficiency, I would be greatly appreciative. Yeah, that's kind of a, Chris, that's kind of a broad question. I appreciate the question. We, I would think it would depend primarily on a project-to-project basis, but yeah, we've got some program folks that are in the audience here. They're listening to the webinar, and they're going to sort of take a quick stab at this. So we're going to pass it over here. See what you got.
Improvements we're making. Management efforts that's going to be made, look at what type of work should be done at specific times during the life of the pavement and bridges to help extend those lives. We're also looking at performance-based project selection for expansion-type projects in the future.
Okay. Okay, the next question has to do with a program that we haven't really spoke about in this because it's not really a function of the multi-year, but I'll go ahead and attempt to field this, and our fellow from District 1, Brian Carlson, I'm sure can step in, and he might echo my point or completely shoot me down, so that should be fun. It says, can you talk about the selection of the recent ITEP, which is Illinois Transportation Enhancement Program projects, specifically only 2 in Cook, none in Lake, and none in McHenry. I would definitely tell you that we do have an allocation that comes from the state for the entire state, but there is also a second portion of money that's given directly to the MPO for their distribution, and they have a fairly rigorous evaluation on how those projects are selected. I would definitely open it up to any program engineer. I would think Brian Carlson would be most appropriate for that, but that would be my answer.
Well, I don't believe that the ITEP program itself goes through the MPO for project selection. Currently, the department we receive ITEP applications, and each ITEP application is reviewed thoroughly, and the projects are evaluated based on their merit, not only just for the merit of the individual project, but how it relates to other regional transportation goals and needs. We do recognize that there may be some opportunities to improve that project selection process, and my understanding is that those discussions are underway with the district's essential office, and we're engaging the MPOs to develop some sort of different mechanism for evaluating and scoring those projects, hopefully for the next call for projects.
Okay, thank you, Brian. Yeah, we've got another program person. Appreciate that input. who's going to try and add just a little bit to that.
Okay, as far as the ITEP projects that were chosen recently in cycle 12, which was approximately $30 million that was chosen, we had like close to $300 million worth of projects, over 250 applied. So it's a very competitive program. We do a rating system, and we have experts in each of the different eligibility categories that look at all the projects, as well as then there's a selection committee that uses the ratings from the experts to prioritize the project for funding. So it is very objective, and there's eligibility criteria that the projects are looked at and rated on, and I believe that those are all listed in the guidelines that are provided online. So in regard to your question about why there wasn't any projects in Lake County and McHenry County, it's based on merit, and they're all rated. So I believe last cycle we had quite a few additional projects that were in District 1's area, but the merit of the projects this time were must have not been in District 1's area, but geographically I think they were distributed all on merit.
I wanted to say I misspoke when I was before I spoke with Brian. We called the ITEP, and I believe the MPO CMAP calls the TAP, Transportation Enhancement Program, but it's roughly the same money. They get an allocation because of population, and they program that themselves. So there may be a project in Lake or McHenry that's come off of that fund. So you might want to check with the MPO on that. Okay, let's see here. We got this one's, we missed one up here. Here we go. John has a question. Will Streetscape Program be available again? This is in the city of Lincoln. So program engineer who is over the city of Lincoln, curious about, will a Streetscape program be available again?
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead. Sorry.
This is Teresa in District 4, and they want to know if the program will be available again. Is that what the question was?
Yeah, it's kind of broad. It says, will Streetscape Program be available again? John wants to know.
I was just trying to look up to see when the next cycle is on the computer, because I don't deal with the Streetscape Program per se. You know, a lot of that stuff is like the other programs that goes through Springfield. I assume so. I'm trying to see if I can find any more information on that. Maybe I could send them some information.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Maybe I could find out who it was and send them some information later.
Can.
Or if anybody else knows about the Streetscape, the timing for Streetscape.
You know, is that Streetscape, or are we talking complete streets, or are we talking like ITEP projects, I wonder? Because I don't think I've ever heard of Streetscape particularly.
Right, we have a lot of those programs out there, and so that's why I was trying to look up the specifics of it. I don't know that off the top of my head, but I don't know if somebody else might know about that program.
Okay, if it's related to an ITEP project, that's every 2 years from the state level. So it might be something around, 2 years from now or so. 2018, thank you. Westbound Route 2 in Sterling was originally programmed to be resurfaced from 19th Avenue to Illinois Route 40 with ADA improvements. In 2014, 19th to 9th was resurfaced, and no ADA improvements were made. Should 9th to Route 40 and the ADA improvements be in the multi-year plan? Scott wants to know.
That area is a candidate for the multi-year program, but we have over 600 miles that need improvements. So it'll just depend on how much funding we get, and then it'll be eventually in the multi-year program. But it'll just be a matter of timing of funding.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next question is, what about 8094 congestion area? Is there anything planned in that area to improve the backups? So I'm guessing that's
District 1?
yeah.
Yes. Well, we reconstructed Route 8094 to Borman when we reconstructed the Dan Ryan in, I think that was around early 2000. As of right now, there are no planned improvements for any further capacity type improvements along I-80 in that area. Like I said, it's fairly new pavement, so we don't plan on doing any reconstruction in that area at this time. We are going to be, as was mentioned earlier, we're going to be doing the I-55 Managed Lanes project. So we anticipate that facility will be able to manage additional traffic volumes or manage the volumes better, and hopefully be able to provide some relief for I-80.
Okay, thank you, Brian, very much. We've got one more question. Again, feel very much freely to put questions in the question box. We will answer them the best we can, and if we can't answer them, we will get back to you. Another question from Scott. For ITEP, better to ask for engineering, construction, both, question mark. How close to shovel ready should we be when submitting a grant application? We've got somebody here at Central Office who is going to field that question.
For the ITEP program, it is better if some of the engineering has been done. It proves that there's commitment by the local agency and they've already committed funds to it, so it helps towards their percentage participation. And those are given extra points in the evaluation when the engineering right of way has already been acquired.
Very cool. So it sounds like the closer you can get to shovel ready, through those what Missy brought up are important things to maybe factor in. Okay, we're going to do kind of like a 5-minute warning here for questions. Really good ones this time around. I really appreciate all the questions. What is this blinking here? Click here to read unread chat messages. That cannot be used for streetscapes alone. Okay, Brian Carlson writes, for the streetscape question, ITEP cannot be used for streetscape alone. It has to be coupled with transportation improvements. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll have to maybe get back to the streetscape fella or gal and get you more information on that. Okay, so we're kind of winding down here. I don't want to say that we can't take questions, but we're getting to the end here. So if you're feverishly typing in, we'll wait just a few more minutes to give you a second to type those questions in. I'll wait for that. I want to reemphasize, please take a look at that handout. If your question didn't come to you tonight, wake up tomorrow morning and have a spot of genius and decide you want to write a comment, feel free. We got a brand new form that populates the database. It's all online. It's very easy. Just click on it, and you fill it out in a matter of seconds, and it's off to IDOT for evaluation. Also, we've got the MYP, the needs maps, all on there. Interactive maps, can access them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We'll have video recordings, as terrible as they might be with the narration. I can speak to that. We will have those up online along with the slides as a PDF for you to look at and go over at your leisure. Seeing no more questions, I just want to thank you all very much for attending the 2017-22 Improved Highway Improvement Program webinar, and hope this has been beneficial. Feel free also to make comments on the comment form about how you thought the presentation went. We would much appreciate that to make it make improvements for years to come. So thank you all very much, and have a great evening.